Respected dignitaries, it's a great honor for me to be the part of this global summit. I would like to thank Chairman Mr. Abdul Basit Syed for initiating the second edition of Trilateral Global Summit 2021, focused on the World Humanitarian Drive's Trade for Peace initiative, promoting global economic and business integration as a pathway to peace. Now, in this session, we are focusing on Passport to Future, where we will discuss on our clear roadmap for future. I'm highly impressed with the set vision, mission, and objectives of the World Humanitarian Drive, which are devoted to creating awareness of peace and harmony among all humans across the world, regardless of race, religion, or nationality, and promoting peace, right to education, and trade harmony. We feel proud to be associated with such institutions, that is WHD, which is focusing on three core principles: peace, education, and trade harmony. The Trade for Peace initiatives devoted to supporting the efforts of peace assisting projects, facilitating the integration of global economies through fair peace accession related reforms. Focus on peace as an enabler of economic prosperity and human resilience in a post pandemic world, create attitudes, structures, and institutions that underpin and sustain peaceful societies, and promoting transparency and good governance are well timed and most appropriate, especially at a time when whole world is struggling with pandemic forced extraordinary crisis in multiple fronts. Distinguished dignitaries, it is a big worry today that still lakhs of people are infected by coronavirus every day. Millions have already died. Subsequent waves added by new variant of virus are aggravating health crisis. The pandemic is spreading more alarmingly in the poor and other low-income countries. Now South Asia is worse affected. Still, the bigger threat still, the pandemic, by deepening crisis in health, livelihood, and economic fronts, is posing the bigger threat to humanity. Needless to add, these are posing added challenges to the global peace and harmony. These may also hinder the prospect of reviving the global trade and economy in a sustainable way, a precondition for regaining strength to move speedily toward global prosperity. The present situation has also provided new scopes and opportunities. There are attempts to reshape or reprioritize development agenda, restructure strategies and policies at global, regional, and country-specific levels. Many non-government organizations are also resetting their broad as well as country-specific policy and program priorities. Based on initiatives so far, it appears that more in-depth objective assessment on the lapses inherent at the dominant global system under which policies and program priorities are set and transmitted up to the different levels will be needed from the standpoint of devising more robust short and long-term alternatives for strengthening global peace and harmony, as well as ensuring prevention of similar crises in the future also. This would be essential. It is noticeable that since long, many progressive forces, political leaders, and social actors were advocating on the need of bringing major shifts in the development strategies and policy discourse, including dominant international relations in view of frequent crises in the global system, affecting peace and stability and jeopardizing life and livelihood of most needy people across the globe. Distinguished participants, as the global economic outlook indicates, poor and other low-income countries are facing very low growth as well as deepening socio-economic problems. Most striking, as indicated by the number of studies, is that compared to about 22.6% of GDP provided as the fiscal support by the developed countries, the poor countries have merely spent about 2.4% of GDP as a fiscal support. This raising likelihood of widening the development gap further between highly developed and poor countries. It is also noticeable that for both life and livelihood, trade is important. Amidst unfair international trading system and practices, dominance of multinational companies in global supply chains, patent right monopolies, weak infrastructure, poor export base, and export restriction due to non-tariff barriers, the pandemic has further impacted the pre-existing trade-related vulnerabilities of the poor countries. Service trade disruption has been more damaging. The pandemic has badly affected limited but fragmented supply chains of poor countries, especially due to lack of more digitized and automated supply chains. Trade protection tendencies have further adversely affected the global trade. The patent issue of vaccine is the best example of how monopolized patent right practices pose threat to the extent of human life. Dear friends, the pandemic-led crisis has brought many pertinent but often neglected issues at the fore. It reveals on the need of restructuring present dominant global system by bringing reforms and changes in key global institutions. As an offshoot, substantive changes in our development approach, priorities, and direction will be needed at both global as well as country-specific level. At the country level, depending on more inclusive, participatory, and accountable democratic system, as well as sustainability and equability principles will be essential, in which reforms in state and political institutions will be the key. Similarly, a resequencing of SDGs agenda may be essential, in which addressing humanitarian crisis with priority on hunger, poverty, and universal social services, among others, could come to the forefront. For overcoming from the deepening crisis, raising resilience capacity of the vulnerable population is critical, as the experience indicates. In this respect, international NGO like World Humanitarian Drive championing and supporting peace, human rights, and prosperity agenda could be highly contributory from the standpoint of resetting the global agenda as well. Therefore, a policy of debt relief to such countries will be essential to prevent the threat of debt trap and facilitate from them to devote such saved resources for the survival of their economies. There is also a need of revamping world trading system, the intellectual property regimes, and the system for financing life-saving drugs must be changed. It is necessary that there is a waiver of trade and intellectual property rules, TRIPS, for vaccine, COVID-19 vaccines, apart from easy access of life-saving drugs for all. From medium to long-term perspectives, the unfair trade system has to be reformed drastically, added by ensuring the market preferences to the poor countries without hurdles. Importantly, there is a need of a special privilege to these countries for facilitating them to enter into the global supply chains. At the country-specific level, many poor countries are compelled to stick to the tight fiscal and monetary policies, following new liberal orthodoxy. Time has come to bring shifts in such a policy for addressing livelihood, unemployment, and economic revival problems. Principally, such countries may need more accommodative fiscal policy discourse. At the same time, it is essential that the governance system is transformed into responsive system to check corruption and control resource misuse practices. There is also increasing threat of information disorder arising from disinformation which deliberately polarizes people, hinders people from meaningfully exercising their human rights, and destroys their trust in institutions. Therefore, priority on human rights friendly governance is also desirable, which helps protecting political power as well. Ladies and gentlemen, in the emerging post-pandemic phase, humanitarian development and peace-building steps or actions must be more coherent and coordinated. The compound nature of today's political, social, economic, and environmental risks requires approaches and solutions grounded in a common understanding of needs, threats, and vulnerabilities of both at both global and national level. In this direction, role of political and social actors, including INGOs such as WHD, will be critical and important in the days to come. With these few remarks, I conclude my views. I wish the Trilateral Global Summit highly successful I once again thank founder chairman of WHD, Dr. Syed, for the invitation and honor. I thank all participants for sparing time to listening to me. Thank you. Thank you very much.